Hello and welcome once again to Made of Nightmares 2023, and yet I have another Wrasslin history lesson for you. And this time, it's not just on a certain character, it's also on a certain individual who, let's just say, though his career went through up and downs, he's turned out for the better. So today we're looking at the career of Charles Wright. Now, Charles Wright got his start in 1989, and he began his wrestling career at the USWA. There he was known as the Soul Taker, along with a certain individual named Mark Calloway, who would later go on to become who we know as The Undertaker. These two were friends, and after their time in USWA together, Mark went his way to WCW and then eventually went to the WWF. And Charles just floundered a little bit till he got a call from the WWF, now known as WWE. He had a character called Sir Charles that just didn't go anywhere in 1991. But then, a year later, something magic happened. In 1992 and throughout 1993, Charles Wright turned into Papa Shango. And he was basically a voodoo villain who would cast spells against opponents, make them throw up, or have fireballs come out of nowhere. But clearly you can tell by looking at this character that the WWE's creative team at the time must have watched Live and Let Die, the James Bond movie, and was well aware that there was that late 80s, early 90s trend of horror movies with voodoo themes. So yeah, he had notable feuds with Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, but they really didn't go anywhere other than a squash job on his part. And his gimmick ended up getting Worst Gimmick Award under the Wrestling Observer by Dave Meltzer. And that's not a knock against Charles. It's just how it is. So the Papa Shango character didn't last long. But Charles Wright, he left the WWF after 93, and then they did whatever they did. He wrestled a little bit on the independents, but then went back to working at the bar where he was before he even started his wrestling career, just working at a bar. But then he got a call back, and they changed up his character a little bit. When Charles Wright came back to the WWF in 1995, he was rebranded as Kama, or as he's also known as Kama the Fighting Machine, or Kama Mustafa. First, he was in the $1 Million Man's $1 Million Corporation, and this character was practically a reference to UFC at the time when they were no holds barred. After getting kicked out of that group, and that dissolved, by about 1997 and a little bit into 1998, he was still Kama, but then slowly he started morphing into what we know him best for, called the Godfather. And that really got to start during the ill-fated Brawl for All tournament of all things. But yeah, once he became the Godfather, he was the pimp we all loved during the Attitude Era. But it almost didn't happen. Oh, no. See, years later, on an episode of Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast on the WWE Network, Charles mentioned that there were plans at one point, and this is one of the still images, to bring back Papa Shango and make it more Attitude Era based, but they decided to not go there and just went with the Godfather gimmick. And I'm glad they did, because I don't know, if the character fell flat before, what more could you do? But it is what it is. The audience didn't like it, so they tried. And much after that, from that point on till about 2002, up until Charles Wright was released, he was the Godfather. After that, he's, in his personal life, he's happily married. He once managed the Cheetah Strip Club in Las Vegas, and I guess he's just going about his business pimping it, And he remains great friends with The Undertaker. He's one of his closest friends. So, yeah, that's it in a nutshell. So comment below and let me know if you have any memories of Papa Shango, Kama, or The Godfather. And yeah, take care. Be sure to like and subscribe as well.